Welcome back to Innovate or Evaporate, where we explore the relentless pace of change and the innovators who drive it. I'm your host, Christopher Day, and now that we're friends, just call me Toph. We're coming to you from Indianapolis this weekend during the kickoff of the WNBA All-Star Weekend. Today, we have an awesome guest that has built a global community of more than 7 million women across 30 industries in 100 countries. We're with the ultimate chief troublemaker who literally built a movement from a belief. Shelley Zalis, the CEO and founder of the Female Quotient. Shelley isn't just talking change, she's building the future of workplace. Shelley, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm like so excited to be here, and I love Toph. That's good. So I
People
think
have to say 3 syllables, right? That's way too long.
Same thing with me with cooking. If it's got more than 4 ingredients, it's not going to happen. So
Oh my gosh, I love that.
agree.
I love that. So we're going to go deep today. I mean, what you
They're
have,
gonna make me cry.
I hope so. We're going to try. We're going to get
I
vulnerable.
want to make you cry.
You can get vulnerable with me too.
Okay.
Any question is on the table. I absolutely love that. So you built this massive movement globally, 7 million women across the globe. And I like one of the things that you talk about, changing the equation for everyone. So what's the catalyst? And when did you start this?
The Female Quotient started probably 10, 11 years ago, truly by accident. And I had no idea. I wasn't building a business. This was just pay it forward with passion. But once I felt the energy and the momentum and the power of the collective, I knew I was going to keep going. So, it was one of those moments that turned into a movement that now is this whoosh, they're heartbeat moments for me. As the only female CEO top 25 in market research, that's a whole other conversation, which I'm happy to have.
And that was, is that OT?
That OTX.
OTX, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I realized at some point I needed to give back with generosity what I wish I had my whole career, which was girlfriends in business. I'm 63 years old. So in my day and age, rising the ranks, there was such a scarcity of jobs at the top. You would just be inclined to push your heels into someone else to push them down so you could get ahead. And I really did not want to leave that legacy. I really wanted to change the equation for everyone. And when I wanted to go to CES, a tech conference, 150,000 people, less than 3% women, I decided I'm tired of being an only and lonely. And I invited 5 girlfriends, said, if you know other girlfriends, invite them. And 24 hours later, 50 women walked the floor with me at CES. And that was that whoosh moment where 2 remarkable things happened. One, I coined the phrase power of the pack. A woman alone is power, collectively we have impact. Every single guy's head turned when 50 women walked that floor.
For sure.
When you're alone, you're invisible.
Yep.
You could do it, but it doesn't make that. And when we're all together, it was just, every single head turn, not looking at little screen, big screen, but where the heck did all you women come from? And that was an amazing feeling. And the second was I was surrounded by people just like me.
You just touched your bicep.
Oh.
Like power, strength.
No, it was this powerful moment.
Yep.
It was, this is my armor, by the way.
What are those?
These are bracelets I've collected over 30 years. I can only buy them for myself, and I buy them when I'm proud of myself. And these all go to my daughter with my stories.
That's amazing.
They each have a story. But it was like this pack was my armor. I was no longer, these were conferences that had long men's room lines, but no one in the women's room. And all of a sudden, here we were. And when you think about change, I could make a difference, but you can't create momentum or change that can happen instantaneously if you believe and if you want it. Anything's possible if you want it.
Yep.
And that was that moment. And the second, I was surrounded by women just like me, talking about work-life balance and imposter syndrome. And yet we had power of the purse. We all went to my hotel room after and we were doing deals with one another. And my little hotel room turned into the penthouse suite 3 days later. 150 turned to 100, 100 to 350. And by end of day 3, we were 350 women connecting with each other, supporting one another, giving each other advice. Even in competitive industries, it was okay. We were all there. And who doesn't want that? It was an incredible, incredible feeling.
I love what you just said. Even in competitive industries, the idea of abundance, right? There's a big pie, and the pie can always be made bigger. And if we keep trying to cut the same piece into smaller pieces, that pie will never get bigger.
To me, those are silos. And it's just when you understand the power of collaboration, the power of the collective, I call it the power of the pack. There's no turning back. You go further, faster. All those things, all those expressions you hear about,
Right.
it's true. I've seen that in action. And when I got invited to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, I'd already done maybe 3 lounges. And my invitation was, we want you to come, but you might not feel welcome.
Interesting.
It's a boys' club.
Yeah.
I might not, I was called the girls' lounge. So I called it the girls' lounge. The opposite of boy is girl. The opposite of club is lounge. If there's a boys' club, now there's a girls' lounge. And a lot of women were like, oh, we don't like the word girl. We're not girls, we're women. I said, have you ever heard a man object to being a boy in the boys' club? Or go girl, girlfriends, girl power. Like, what is the problem here? And so I owned the name Girls Lounge. And I needed $250,000 to go to the World Economic Forum. There was one space left, and it was this hole in the wall, literally. And so I went to a big financial institution, a women's division of this big financial institution. I said, would you sponsor me for Davos? And they said, of course we will, but you have to change the name. I said, I'm not going to change the name. It's called the Girls Lounge. And so I funded it myself. And I called a girlfriend of mine that was the CEO of Bloomberg. And I said, Jackie, you got to go with me to Davos. I don't want to go by myself because I might not feel welcome. I said, so will you come? She says, of course I will. And I invited 50 other women. And we had a slumber party at the World Economic Forum in villas.
What a blast.
It was amazing. I mean, it's unheard of.
I mean, that's how you bond right there.
Everything about it was ridiculously amazing. So I took this dump, I hung a chandelier, white furniture, the best content, food, warmth, cozy. Like, it was amazing. And I realized it doesn't matter if no one else comes. These 50 women are going to come. That's our pack.
Right.
Power of the pack.
Yep.
And you can't miss us. Woo, here we are. Can't miss us. You can miss one of us. Can't miss 50.
Yep.
And it changed the equation overnight. And my shingle on the door said, the Girls Lounge, the place for the 17%. Because less than 17% of white badges, which is Congress, the official people going to WEF that spend a lot of money for a badge, were women. And so that's what I called it. And that was year 1. That was almost 11. That was 11 years ago. We've been going since.
So when you did, so it all started then at CES. 5 friends turns into 50, turns into, I think you said 150 or 350 that third night. So that's literally the genesis of it. When, in those early moments, did you have naysayers that showed up and were like,
yeah,
I don't want to be a part of this?
I've had naysayers. I'm a 4-time movement maker. So I've had naysayers, everything I've ever done, that I'm not the right one. It's not the right time. I'm not qualified. It's not possible. I mean, all those things.
Yep.
When I started the Girls Lounge under the Female Quotient umbrella, knowing one day it would be all around, I had no idea AI was coming, but I coined the phrase algorithm for equality over 11 years ago on a t-shirt. So when you talk about that napkin moment, it's on a napkin that now is my t-shirt that I sleep with. When I called it the Girls Lounge, so many women, a lot of senior women didn't come. And if you go back and think about it, and you're at a conference and I have a space, where's the power? In the bar, on the golf course,
Yep.
where the men are, because they were the power brokers. And so a lot of women didn't want to come to the lounge because it was going to take up their time of doing business and doing deals.
Yep.
And the power wasn't in the lounge. And so, now a lot of those senior women apologize, like, we're so sorry we weren't there at the beginning. It was hard. It wasn't easy. And especially because I coined the phrase business of equality. 11 years ago, there was no DE&I.
Yep.
There was no anyone talking about women and putting women in the equation or any of that stuff. And I wanted marketing dollars. because I wanted it to be a business imperative, not a nice to have, not an HR thing. And they would say, oh, talk to our HR people. I'm like, no, I'm not talking to HR people. I want you to be accountable and responsible for changing the equation. And so I turned down being put in an HR bucket then.
It's part of the business initiative, the business strategy.
It's a business imperative.
Yeah.
Representation and reflection
Yeah.
is a business imperative. It is not just the right thing to do. It is important for business. And that was then. Now I call it the business of opportunity because it's all about growth and innovation and elevation, but not just to elevate for the right reasons.
Right. So if you fast forward to now, as you continue to grow, do the men, are they banging down the door, want to get in the door?
So once I had over probably 5 million women supporting one another and connecting.
It took until 5 million women?
It was a build. It was building and building and building. I evolved the name. I didn't change the name. I went from Girls Lounge to Equality Lounge, the place for conscious leaders.
Yeah.
And I called it the place for conscious leaders. I don't care if you're a man. I don't care if you're a woman. If you're in a position of power, use that power to pull everyone up.
Right.
And today, I evolved to FQ Lounge because the FQ brand is credible and it's known all over the world. But we are always powered by the power of partnerships, by the power of the pack, by the power of collaboration, by the power of the collective. So we have Fortune 500 companies that all are partners in helping us. It's not my lounge, it's not yours, it's ours collectively.
I love that. We talked before we started this podcast about Rally, that conference we started, and that's how we think of Rally. It's not Elevates. It's everybody's event to come in. You want to own certain pieces of it. When you release, right? There's so much more power in that. And we were also talking with Emil out in the hallway, and you brought up you don't like the word empower. You like the word empower. Let's talk about that for a second, because I thought that was so powerful.
You know, it's when you look up the word empower in the dictionary, it means someone gives you power. You receive power. And we all have ruby slippers. We could have clicked those slippers to go home. We didn't need the wizard to say you could go home.
Yep.
But we don't understand that. When you think about female empowerment, we talk about, female empowerment. We don't talk about male empowerment.
Yep.
What message does that intrinsically leave with you? That you are waiting and watching for someone to give you permission.
Like someone has to validate you too.
You need validation,
right?
External validation. But the truth is, we're all empowered. The power is within us. We just have to believe.
Yes.
We have to believe in ourselves and know that we bring value to the table. Or how often you have that big table and someone says, oh, you sit over there. Take your seat.
Correct.
At the table.
At the table.
And so I just want to dismiss that word empowered. We're empowered. We're empowered.
Yeah.
Just look within and understand your power. And you don't have to have it all. You don't have to know how to do it all. Know how to surround yourself with others that will bring the powers that you don't have. And that collective power is genius.
Yes.
That's the magic.
So you brought up imposter syndrome a little bit ago. I love it when people bring that up. When we start talking with one another, I was abused as a child, physically abused, family was abused. And I'm not ashamed of that. In fact, I think it's a badge of honor that I worked through that. And so we are all humans. And everybody has these feelings of self-doubt. You know, pick any Fortune 500 CEO. They have moments of self-doubt maybe every single day, if not often. And they're trying to figure it out, right? And we're all trying to innovate, trying to figure out the next step. And then when you're trying to do those things and be bold and bring more people into collective, you have these naysayers. I want to come back to this naysayer thing for a minute. How do you move beyond those naysayers? Are there ways that you have successfully, quickly pulled those folks in to be a part of the collective, a part of the pack? Or Or you just let them stray in the wilderness until they make their way to you?
You know, it's interesting when you talk about CEOs having that imposter syndrome. You know, first of all, men and women have imposter
Yes.
syndrome. Men in general tend to ignore that voice, and women let that voice get louder.
Yep.
And, you know, I just say you gotta shut that bitch up in your head. I mean, that's just the truth. But those people with imposter syndrome, which we all have, the ones that allow it to be there and they don't necessarily deal with it, they are status quo kind of people, because it's easier if you're not sure that you could create change or lead that transformation. It's safe. Status quo is safe. And most Fortune 500 C-suite leaders have to play it safe because they have to deliver. They don't have freedom, or they don't think they do, to take risk.
Yep.
Because something's gonna go off kilter. So that's the status quo moment. So for me, I understand that. And when people have been, whether implicit or explicit naysayers, you know, not supporting or afraid to come inside and take risk, I say to myself, well, why am I listening to them tell me it's not the right time or don't do it? They've never done it before.
Right.
So how do they know?
Yep.
And I want to say, how do you know? And I did a really big campaign a couple of years ago because it drove me nuts that nothing is really changing, because safety anchors you into routine and doing what has been done and has been done. Well, how will change ever happen if we keep just doing and perpetuating sameness?
Yep.
Right? Someone, somewhere, somehow has to create the new pattern, has to break a trend, create a new pattern. And it starts by starting at some point. And I think that's always just been my mantra, is I know I have to do this. And so I started this campaign because, according to the World Economic Forum, it was going to take 134 years to close the gender gap. 134 years.
Yes.
Like, where will you be? What will your kids be? What will your grandchildren be?
Right.
So that means change can't happen if you actually read these numbers, and no one questioned it. And so finally,
So everybody just accepted it as, okay, well, it's just fact.
yeah, well, but they're sitting at the table talking about it.
Right.
But it means no one's going to prioritize. If it can't be done, why are you going to try to fix it?
Yep.
Right? So I wrote a campaign, just said, why should it take 134 years to close the gender gap? We put men on the moon in 10 years.
Yep.
We created the internet in 25, ChatGPT in 2 weeks. And we created a vaccine for a deadly disease in 1 year.
Yeah.
Gender equality is just data.
Right.
What the frick? I don't get it. And all of a sudden, it forced people to think about that. Because I said, it is the only global goal 5, that a Fortune 500 CEO can actually achieve in the lifetime of their leadership. They can't fix hunger by themselves. They can't fix education. They can't fix pollution. They can't sustain, whatever it is, climate. The only thing they can actually achieve in the lifetime of their leadership is to close the gender gap. Or, let's go to the positive, create opportunity.
Right.
It's not hard. It's
not hard.
actually easy.
Yep.
If you want it.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm very good friends with the former Treasurer of the United States, Rosie Rios. If you pull out a bill, if you even have a bill anymore, it has her name on it. And I go to her office in the Treasury one day, and I see pictures lining the wall. Woman, 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 woman. I'm like, Rosie, who are all these women? She's a former Treasurer of the United States of America. I said, they were all women? She goes, yeah. I said, how'd that happen? She says, well, I don't know if it was Truman, Hoover, I don't know, was a president, was Bill, that one day just put a woman in that position. It broke a pattern.
Yep.
And it started a new one. And from that day on, women were put in those positions. Boom. That was that.
So that's making me think that and this happens with both men and women, but there's I can't remember the old adage what the exact words are, but like you never, outshine the boss concept, or else for sure if that boss is and I do not like the word boss either, by the way.
No, I mean, that's a hierarchical. It's command and control. Time to move to agency.
Yeah, I just don't like that word. And when people have called me that before, I'm like, I just, no. We're partners, collaborators. Like I always think about, and for some of the previous businesses, some of the folks that worked with me would go off and start other businesses. And people used to ask me like, well, can I piss you off?
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I'm getting chills right now. Like, that's a badge of honor. And in fact, if I can be a customer, I'm going to be a customer of that company, whatever they're doing. It's happened multiple times, probably half a dozen. And so there are a lot of folks out there who are, if we're honest, they're insecure. And so they don't want, they want to kind of step on your head and keep you down somewhere that doesn't impact them. What have you seen like that can be successful ways to navigate that, to maneuver, around that?
I mean, first of all, I think culture doesn't start from the top down or bottom up. It happens all around. I think we all are bosses, but bosses of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to have X amount of employees reporting to you. Whatever. If you take responsibility for who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you're a boss, right?
Yep.
So I think that, and I don't believe in titles because I don't think titles define value. I think
Yep.
we all, if we're in that company, we all bring value to the table.
Yep.
And that's why I'm chief troublemaker, or someone can be chief people officer, or chief happy officer. Like what do you want to be known for?
Yes.
And then hold yourself accountable for that. And when you hire for, I say hire for passion, train for skill, or hire for kindness, I mean, that's how you create the right culture. Unless you would be a doctor, lawyer, and accountant, you might need some textbook stuff. But it's not in a textbook. It's about creating a culture where everyone feels seen, everyone feels heard, everyone, feels included. And that's where we talk about cultural belonging. But you can't just say, oh, we want a culture of belonging. It doesn't just happen because you snap your finger and say, you're going to create a culture of belonging. It is something that everyone has responsibility for inside of a company.
Yeah,
and that starts with
your contributor in that, right?
And the CEO, are they the boss? No, they have a role of accountability and responsibility for how the entire company works.
Yeah.
And putting in place everyone to realize they're a boss too. You're the boss of creating a happy place to work that everyone feels comfortable.
Yeah. Setting vision, keep cash in the bank, get the right butts, get the right people on the plane, and let's go.
And also purpose, having purpose in your DNA is just so incredibly important. It's not just about the bottom line, because if you don't have shared values and all believe in what the company is doing, it is a job that you come and go, and you don't put that extra oomph into it. And I think it's that extra oomph of passion that you love what you do. I would say when you love what you do, it's called passion. When you don't, it's called stress. And who needs that stress?
Yeah, absolutely. So in some of over the last 10 years or so, at some of these events, so you're holding 60, 70 of these a year, all over the world, are there some unique moments that pop out in your head where like a situation happened of people connecting, or any favorite stories of something really positive that was never anticipated coming out of those connections?
I mean, more business is done in our lounges than anywhere. We don't have badges or titles because I want everyone to spend 5 minutes with someone they don't know, and great things will happen.
Yeah.
And I think one remarkable story before Cannes. So we do Cannes in the south of France, and it's a big media festival. And I started bringing women together.
Is that Saint-Tropez? Oh no, that's Cannes. Yeah.
Yeah.
How close is it to Saint-Tropez?
Close enough. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Saint-Tropez is amazing. Yeah. And so we've been doing that for 10, 11 years. I always would take, on the Sunday before we would start on Monday, a boat to Saint-Tropez and bring the pack, the OGs, some of the real original women. And one day we're on this boat and we all jumped off into the water. They dock the boat and we swim and whatever. It's real bonding. And I didn't jump in. So I was standing on the boat with a woman named Charlotte Beers, who's a legend in advertising. She must be, I'm not going to say how old she is today, but she's been retired for quite some time. She's standing there, we're chatting, and all the women are swimming, and one woman is struggling. So I jump in to go help her, and I'm trying to pull her to the dinghy, and I'm having trouble. So she's kind of sinking. The waves are getting stronger. I'm trying to pull her. And next thing you know, another woman sees me, is pulling me. Another one sees her, pulling her. And we have this human line of all of us pulling each other. That moment's going to make me cry because it was just, it's so the essence of who we are and what we do.
Yes.
You can't make that shit up.
Right.
That was real shit. And she ended up getting all of us these little circle life things, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and she says, you saved my life, not just physically, but on every level. And that's what these spaces are all about. It's about making the invisible visible, and it's about power of the pack. And even our partners, men and women, we're all in this space. I mean, we have 5,000 people coming through the space. But all you have to say is you're part of the FQ community. Whether you've met them or not, you'll get a hug, hello, and a yes. And then someone will say, what can I do for you? It's an intangible that is so tangible.
Right.
Because we are connected all over the world now. Whether we've met each other or not, we know we've got each other's back. And that's legacy for me.
Yes.
Now. And it's a pay it forward. And I did it to pay it forward, but everyone I paid it forward to is paying it forward in magnitude. And that magnitude amplified is game changing.
How does a woman join? Because
it's free. Sign up and follow. And we do two things. One is physical spaces, so 60 to 70 physical spaces. But we also broadcast out all over the world from our lounges, so everyone has access. And we democratize the system, so no badge ever required. So even at a conference, if the badge is $8,000 or whatever, we are free. And so we are always official partners of wherever we go.
Right.
But there's no membership. It's brought to you by all of our partners.
So you come to even if you don't pay the $8,000 badge for whatever, the economic forum or something, you can still come to your events.
The roads are right outside in an unbadged zone so that everyone can come with or without a badge, from the World Economic Forum to the G20 to Cannes to CES to Advertising Week to NBA All-Star to WNBA All-Star. So we are doing a 3-hour lounge today here, the WNBA All-Star. But even if you don't have a ticket to go you will be able to come to our 3-hour lounge and meet, everybody, the who's who, the players, legends, current, well, not ones that are playing today, but people in the business of sports, teams, leagues. Everyone will be there. And so you just feel like you're in the game.
I shouldn't ask this live right on the podcast, but how can we get a lounge at Rally? Is that possible?
I love it. What took you so long to ask?
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go.
So, okay, well, let's go back before you started this movement, OTX. So I'm curious about, you went to Barnard College, is that right? And so I'm curious and you talk about your parents are your anchors, your sisters are your best friends. And so I guess I want to dive a little deeper into like childhood, right? And so it sounds like you were very blessed, right, with a wonderful family. And so what are a few of those things, those nuggets when you were growing up, that led you to think, I want to solve some things differently in the future, or that gave you the strength and the inner belief to go attack things like your first business? Like, I'm just curious about that storyline.
It's not linear. It's not a textbook. I had no plans to pioneer online research. You've taken a shitty survey on the internet.
You're right.
Okay, sorry, that's me. I'm the mother of that invention. I did not have intentionality around that at all. It kind of just happened with triggers. When I'm told I can't do this or I can't do that, that forces me to do it.
I love that. I'm
Right?
the same way. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go do that.
Just watch me now, baby. But you know, I grew up, I'm one of 4 girls,
Yep.
and I was very blessed and still am because I'm so close with my sisters, and my kids and are friends with their cousins, and my parents. My mom is still alive, and she's, you know, amazing, lives on my block. My father passed a few years ago. But my parents taught us to believe in ourselves. Confidence is beautiful. It's from within,
Yep.
and that we could do anything. And my father, I'll never forget this. We once went to the Bahamas, and there was glass bottom boat. And so my father said to us, "Who wants to go on the glass bottom boat?" And we all said, "I don't know. I don't care." And he was furious. And he yelled at us. And he said, "Here's the thing. I don't care if you don't want to go, but don't ever not care. You either do something or you don't." And my father lived life with no regrets. So I have a no regret policy. I never want to look back and say shoulda, woulda, coulda. And so I always think forward and ask myself a question: will I miss a moment that matters? And if the answer is yes, I don't miss it. And I talk about being fully present for those moments, because those moments that matter are transformative. And they've helped me make all the most important decisions in my life. I don't make them with my head because that's rational and cognitive. It's the heart. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. I follow my heart. And I understand that expression, follow your heart, because I do follow my heart. And when so many people will say to me, "Oh, you're going to fail," or "it's not right," or "it's not possible," I don't think about failure, because who wants to set themselves up to fail? I turn it to how much risk am I willing to take?
Mm-hmm.
No risk, no regret. And no risk, no reward. And all the bets I've taken have been risk. But why? Because there's no textbook.
Yep.
There is no playbook. I have to make shit up and then blow past it somehow.
Right.
Right? I mean, nothing I've ever done in my life that has been that wow has come from a textbook model. I have just gone and evolved as I'm going, and I zig and zag. If it's not the right thing, I'll sag. Okay. And I'm okay with that.
I think it's interesting. There's so many books out there, so many business books, and that lay out these structures, etc. The reality is that folks who are doing things, pushing the envelope, the reality is they don't really know, but they have an idea, and they feel in their heart, right, this passion to go do this thing differently, and they just go start. You might have an outline or something high level. I'm going to kind of track it this way or that way, but like you just go do,
Yeah.
and you make mistakes and kind of figure out along the way.
The more I try to put it on paper,
Yeah.
it's not going to work, because I don't know what I'm putting on paper. Like when I sold my company a couple of times, and the second time they asked me for, let me think. Let me just think.
This is OTX.
This was OTX.
And what did OTX do?
So online testing exchange.
Yep.
I migrated research from offline telephone and central location to online.
Yep.
In a day and age where only wealthier men with broadband connections were online. We were on 14.4 modems. And it wasn't a representative population yet. So I had to make it the right time.
Yep.
And my first business plan, they would say, well, do the SWOT analysis. I'm like, I can't. There is no competitor. I'm it. So I said, I'm just going to make it up. If you want numbers, I'm going to give you numbers, but they're not real.
Right.
So just for the record,
Yeah.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to make shit up.
Yeah.
And I'll blow past them. But I can't give you a competitive analysis. Or when I sold the business the second time, they handed me, I was doing probably 30 million in revenue, the second one. And they said, well, we're going to put a banker on this to create your bank book so we could take it to suitors.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay. And so they hand me this book and it has all these little numbers on it.
Yep.
And
one of the businesses I had was an investment banking firm.
I mean, really? And I'm like, I'm not presenting this to potential investors. I said, because that's not the company I want them to buy.
Right.
I said, I want every page to excite and delight.
Right.
And be as exciting as my little company is, because it's a wow. And I was one of a kind. And this is making me look generic.
Right.
I'm not doing this. And I said, but this is how it's done. I said, not for me. Give me 3 hours. I'll be back to you with the book we're going to showcase.
Yep.
And I came back with talking heads and talking people. It was exactly who we were. It had our personality. I said, all I need is one buyer.
Yes.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
And the one buyer is going to get us and understand, because the one that says yes is going to see who we really are. Because I can't run a company that you're trying to make me run with those little numbers. And of course, I got 10 out of 10 yeses, and it was a wow. And it wasn't a typical bank book.
Yeah. So
it is possible to sell your company for a lot of money. Then the third time, I sold to a company. I had 250 employees doing 60 million in revenue, operating in 6 cities, US and in UK. So global, because you push a button for global interviewing. And I sold to a company that had 16,000 employees operating in 83 countries, doing 2.6 billion in revenue. So now, once again, I'm sitting at a board table, publicly owned company, 26 people on the publicly traded board, 2 women and the rest men. And they are moving. It's the first board meeting I come to after I sell my company to them. And they're moving all my people around like chess pieces. And tears come down my eyes. And I said, that's not where any of those people belong. It's not where they're going to be put. Cheryl is good at this, and Paul is good at this, and
right.
And I'm pulled aside after the board meeting. And I'm told there's no room for emotion in the boardroom. I had one of 2 options. Listen to my head, the cognitive, the rational. I just sold them my company. I'm supposed to say, yes, boss.
Right.
Or do what I did, which was give a speech to thousands. And it was called Bring Emotion to the Boardroom, ! Pink heart, pink heart, pink heart. And that was that. And I realized I'm not just going to roll over and say, you're right, because you're not. Maybe you're right for you, or maybe you're right for this company, but that's not how I'm going to roll. And that was when I started talking about empathy and compassion and what we typically know as the soft skills, which I say are the critical, essential skills. There's nothing soft about those skills. Those are power skills. Use them,
I like that.
own them, take them,
right,
and write about them, and put them in your job description. How amazing would that be? We're looking for a compassionate, empathetic, collaborative thinker that can deliver a great ROI. Boom. Give me that description all day long. I'll raise my hand.
That's interesting.
Tell me you're looking for an assertive, aggressive, decisive, linear, analytic leader that could deliver an ROI. That ain't me. I got D in statistics, even though I ended up running and building a game changing research company.
And you said you sold that 2 times or 3 times?
That one I sold maybe 3 times.
3 times. I love those stories when right, you sell a company multiple times. I also love the stories when people sell their companies.
There are different versions of it.
Right, yeah. I love it when there's also stories out there where people sell their companies to somebody. They go off into the sunset. That company runs it into the dirt, and then they come back and buy it for 10 cents, right? See, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of it goes back to what you just said, is that they just apply sheer black and white numbers to it, and they forgot the reasons that made that company successful in the first place.
Amen.
And the people that made
Well, it's interesting because a good friend of mine is in the hair business, and he sold his very successful company to a very big Fortune 500 company. And he gave me this analysis that was so incredibly true. He said, you know, I saw my company go from the top shelf to the bottom shelf.
Wow.
And that's when I knew I had to buy it back. I mean, exactly what you said.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I want to go back to these bracelets.
Mm.
So I love that you said you buy a bracelet when, what would you say?
I'm proud of myself.
When you're proud of yourself. I wish I had done that too. So historically, I call them tchotchkes. I'll buy a little tchotchke when like I would actually accompany, you know, and I'd buy something. And it might be a watch, it might be a Jeep, it might be it might be whatever. But you buy something because you went through the, you know, the valley of death, you know, doing this march. And so can you share a couple stories of some of your most proud moments that inspired a couple of those bracelets?
This one, which is my most precious one, was my first grandson.
Yep.
So now I have 3 grandchildren, so I need 2 more. I'm a little behind. But that's this one, you know, which it is, you don't think you could love anyone more than your children,
right?
Until you have grandchildren.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
it is so true you say that. Like, I never knew it was possible to love so deep.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean,
amazing.
I love my kids so deeply, but seeing my children as parents,
it's a whole other level.
Whole other level. And like my little grandchildren are like my everything. But, you know, they're all, some are one. This one was when I don't want to say talk back, but when the owner of the my investor,
right,
was telling me I had to, I had already sold to him, a great guy, but he wanted me to completely evolve my business model to a data collection, data reporting business. And I said, because that's how I started. And I was now going into analysis and whatever. And I said, no, that's a dime a dozen. And if you are insisting on it, you've got the wrong person running your company. It's my way or the highway. Because I know, you know what your baby needs.
Yep.
I knew what it needed.
Yep.
And that day I left the meeting. It was a tough, tough day. But I won. And I passed by Bergdorf. And in the window was this crocodile ring with 2 diamond eyes. I had to have it.
That's awesome.
But it was a moment where I truly stood up for myself. And it was scary because this person is someone that is really well known.
Yep.
He's always right.
Yep.
And I just couldn't do it. And so that was this bracelet of owning my voice and standing up for what I believed in. And this is a very important one. This is a power boss move.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to get to rapid fire questions here in a minute. Before we go there, I'm curious, you travel all over the world. You've seen many different cultures, you know, even here in the States, you know, city to city, state to state, city to city, many different countries. What is your observation of, are there some things that pop out to you that, and you don't have to name the region if something's in the non-positive, but I'm just curious, like, what are some things that you've seen from country to country, state to state, or city to city that we could learn from that culture? You know, that if we could, it's going to lead into a little bit of the rapid fire questions, but like things that really help change a culture, not from a company or a group or organization level, but from a geographic standpoint or community standpoint.
So many. I mean, I'm going to go to China and to Africa probably, but in Africa, I was in Rwanda. Rwanda is number 6 on gender equality out of all the countries in the world. Why? With intentionality. it's all about intentionality. President Kagame intentionally put women in government. It's how change happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm blown away by Rwanda. Anyways, there was a World Economic Forum meeting in Rwanda, so I went. And I went 2 days early so that I could meet girls in remote schools and villages and have time with them. I must have seen 10 girls in 10 different schools from the age of 5 to the age of 16. And I loved my experience so much. But what I realized was, we know about period poverty in these parts of the world, and when they have their periods, they don't leave the house. I just needed to give them that confidence to believe in themselves. And I talked to them about how their voice is as powerful as boys, and they can say no, they need to own their power and their voice, and they need to come together to look after each other and, whatever. And I said to them, I'm going to bring 10 of you to the World Economic Forum. And it took me hours to get there in a rickety road and off streets and whatever. And the World Economic Forum was in Kigali in the city. And so I said, I'm going to bring 10 of you. And I had 10 tables, and I was doing this women empowerment, now I call it empowerment thing for the World Economic Forum. I sat each one of them at a different table with power women. And I said, when I say confidence, you stand and say confidence is beautiful. It was the most life-changing moment for me because one young woman named Amani got up at the end of the day and she said to all these women, ladies, I just want to thank you for everything you shared. I grew, I learned so much, and most importantly, I realized that my voice was as important, if not more important, than the boys. Then this other young girl who was the shyest of all of them, Esther, gets up and she asks all these women, where does your confidence come from? So throughout the day, everyone would say, Esther, let me tell you. Esther, let me tell you. Esther. This was maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I received a big award, the Matrix Award, in New York. And, most people, Halle Berry was also a recipient. When I was, it was Mika Brzezinski was a recipient. They all had celebrities giving them their award. I asked Amani from Rwanda to give me the award. I flew her out. She's never been on a plane before. No one in her entire family has ever been on a plane before. She said she felt like her body was seated in the chair, but the top was in the clouds. I took her to Bloomingdale's to get her an outfit, and she felt like the escalator was eating her feet, the language she used. We're sitting on the dais and eating first. And she goes, I can't eat in front of everybody. I said, everyone is eating. We're going to do this together. And she's never used a teleprompter. She could have just used her pieces of paper. This young woman, she was 16, 17 years old, gets up in front of thousands of people and talked about things that I had never imagined. I gave to her, but I didn't give it. I inspired it.
Yep.
I lit a little flame inside of her. And she was so nervous to go up there, but she owned it and she killed it. I'm bawling my eyes out in my chair. I'm coming up to now receive the award from her. And I'm shaking. And I get there to give her a hug, and she goes, do you need me to stand here with you and hold your hand? And I said, I'm going to be okay, but thank you. Because it's what I said to her, do you want me to come up with you and hold your hand? Because I thought she was nervous. She's now asking me. Amani is now 23, 24, she just got married. And she says that she is going to pay it forward. She wants to be a lawyer to help all these other young women in Rwanda because I gave her that chance. She wants to give others that chance. And you asked me the question about culture. That's a culture question because these young women, and you know what happens when you're living in remote villages, girls without an education get mutilated.
Yep.
And girls with an education, it changes the trajectory of their life. And they don't have time to fetch the water that's far away. I can't even lift an empty jug on my back. They have 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and maybe a baby as well. And you know what happens when they don't have shoes and they're walking barefoot on streets in faraway places, what happens to them? And so now we're building wells inside schools so they can fetch and get an education, because that education changes the trajectory of their lives, period. So that's one example.
We had a gentleman named Manny Ahome, and there's 600 million people in the world with no shoes, and he has opened up he's built a factory. He raised $20 million and built a factory to make shoes in Africa. And his plan is to leverage that. He's gone from 0 to 12.5 million shoes provided for people in just a number of not too many years. Now he's built a factory in Africa, and he wants to leverage that to not just sell shoes, but to launch an ecosystem. We can go down the street, right, to a shoe store and buy shoes. And so he wants to leverage that business for people to start their business to sell shoes.
That's how you do it. But more than that, tell him, please, that the best thing to do in villages is make it like a shoe library that you could borrow for your chore and put them back if they can't afford them.
Interesting.
Because a lot of them can't. Like,
Right.
I mean, It's great to create shoes and sell. But if they could create a shoe library that you could check out the shoes and put them back when you're done,
That's an interesting idea.
that will help.
A shoe
many more.
library.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. I never did.
I'm going to call him and tell him
Yeah.
that.
I'll help him.
That's really interesting. K through 12 education. Are there a couple things that come to mind that this is a whole other podcast we could do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think
This-
we do a lot of podcasts.
But are there a couple things that you see us not doing that pop into your mind that we should really get serious about?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, when you look at skills, a lot of, I'm the co-founder of another movement called See Her. If you could see her, you could be her. And it was all about the accurate, realistic portrayal of girls and women in media and entertainment.
Yeah.
Because we don't see, when we see, we don't see women in those boss roles, whether we like the word or not, at the top. And whether they're athletes or, girls could be anything they imagine.
Yep.
They could be scientists.
Yep.
The problem is in K through 12, a lot of these courses are elective. So boys will take the STEM stuff and the science things, and girls might want to, but they're afraid to go there by themselves because they're alone. So we need to make everything mandatory courses versus elective, because when they're elective, we're going to not see as many girls, in those classes. But also, it's not in a textbook. Life lessons are as important in teaching
Yes.
and sharing than 1 + 1 is 2.
Yep.
Because 1 + 1 is 11.
Yep.
And that won't show up in a textbook.
Yep.
It's why I will do classes to business students and stuff, because it's about kindness too. We don't teach kindness. Remember those old days where we'd get in trouble if we didn't share our stuff in the sandbox?
Right.
It's the same thing. You should get in trouble if you're not sharing.
Yeah.
So we need to teach kindness, and not by saying it's a rule, but it's inherent.
Right. It's inherent in your fiber of your body. Yeah. I love that. Wow, Shelley. Okay. That was amazing. I have 4 rapid fire questions. Okay. And we might have even touched on some of these during our discussion today, but so yeah, your answer. What one word?
One word.
multiple words, whatever. Answer however you wish, or say pass or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, what is one thing in your industry that you think people should stop doing?
Waiting and watching. Intentional action for change.
I love it. What is one thing that you think leads to the best ability to disrupt or innovate?
Believing in yourself.
If you could solve one problem in the world with innovation, what would that be?
Oh, pay transparency. And because I don't know why women get paid 80 cents on the dollar for doing the same job as a man. That makes no sense. And Black women, 63 cents, Hispanic women, 54 cents. Makes no sense. So pay transparency and the culture of care.
Love it. What is something that you want to share that we haven't talked about today? What's something you're really passionate about that we may not have a story or a thing about you that you want people to know that maybe we didn't dive into today?
I'm an open book, so I think people just really need to understand the power of the pack and
Yeah.
the power of working together to create change. Change is not hard if you want it. It just takes being the first, the second, and the third. The first is always the innovator. So you're going to have to take those risks and make some mistakes along the way. The second's the copycat. The third's the sweeper. So you need to be the first, the innovator. You need to be your own copycat. And then the only way you sweep is with power of the pack, making it sticky and infectious that everybody wants to join. And boom, then it can happen. You don't have to wait 134 years. You could flip it in 5.
Right, exactly.
Flip
Let's
it
not
in
wait
5.
134 years. Yeah.
5 years sounds like a good amount of time. It's not generational. It's half a generation. I'd say 5. Flip it in 5.
Shelley, it has been an absolute honor to meet you and to spend time with you today. I am floored. There are so many things I'm going to go away from here and think about in so many deeper ways and just more innovative ideas. Thank you for coming on to Innovate or Evaporate. Your story is amazing. It's so inspiring. And it's just an honor to be a tiny little speck of part of your life. It's just amazing.
I actually think you're going to become a giant like planet in my life because I feel your empathy, your compassion, but also you are a pay it forward person. And I think I was sorry to hear about your story growing up. However, it's exactly what you said, that it builds that character
Yep.
and your armor
Yep.
to know what you don't want, because you don't know what you don't want until you have it. Like,
Experience it.
and you might not know yet what you want, but you find it and you surround yourself with amazing people. So I want you to know I'm here with you, for you, and I love what you're doing. Love, love, love.
Thank you so much. So if I'm a female and I want to get involved in the Female Quotient, where do I go?
Well, so if you're male.
Am I female as well?
Yeah. Oh, our community is men and women. Our community is conscious leaders.
Changing the equation for everyone.
Changing the equation for everyone.
So the internet website is?
The Female Quotient.
The Female Quotient.
Where you can follow us on all channels.
I love it. Absolutely amazing. Shelley, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, everyone, we'll see you soon on Innovate or Evaporate.